Hello，你们好，我是 Kate. Hello, it's Kate from 中文10分钟. Before we start our lesson, I want to apologize for my absence last week because I was preparing for my teaching license exam. But I'm back, and today we will study HSK 1, Lesson 5. 他今年20岁. Part 1. 情景交际 Situational Communication. Before we analyze this text, I want to remind you that KWT means Kate's weird translation. That's my literal translation of some Chinese sentences or some Chinese phrases. So there might be some mistakes in English grammar, so please do not copy my style. And the first one is about members of a family. Now let's read it together. A. 你家有几口人? Yeah, here, be careful. You see this Chinese character. This one can be omitted. So 你的家 is the same as 你家. KWT. Your family has how many people? B. 我的家的 can be omitted. So 我的家 is equivalent to 我家. 我家有3口人. KWT. My family has 3 people. Proper translation. A. How many people are there in your family? B. There are 3. The second one is about age. A. 你的女儿几岁了? The can be omitted. KWT. Your daughter is how old? B. 她今年4岁了. KWT. She this year is 4 years old. Proper translation. How old is your daughter? She is 4 years old. The last one is also about age. A. 李老师多大了? Professor Lee is how old? B. 他今年50岁了. She this year is 50 years old. A. 他女儿呢? And her daughter? B. 她女儿今年20岁. Her daughter this year is 20 years old. Proper translation. How old is Professor Lee? She is 50 years old. What about her daughter? Her daughter is 20 years old. And I want to emphasize it once more that the can be omitted. So, 她的女儿 is the same as 她女儿. Part 2. 语法 Chinese grammar. And there are 4 major points for us to study today. The first one is 疑问代词几, the interrogative pronoun 几. Definition 几 is roughly equivalent to how many or how much in English, and function 几 is used to ask about a number. Structure 几 plus a noun is the same as how many or how much plus a noun in English. But sometimes it will appear in another structure, which is 几 plus a measured word plus a noun. It also corresponds to how many or how much plus none in English. For example, this example, 几口人, how many people, right here. This one appears in the second structure, 几口, measured word for the noun 人, so 几口人 corresponds to how many people in English. 你家有几口人? Your family has how many people? 100以内的数字 numbers below 100. So let's look at this table. Like how we started pinyin, first we need to memorize some basic pinyin, right? So right here we also need to memorize some basic numbers, that is 1 to 9 and 10 to 90. So now let's read it together. 1 2 3 4 5 6、7、8、9 and 10、20、30、40、50、60、70、80、90. Okay, now let's go back to look at this number 10. Number 10 can be read as 10 or 10. So you can read it either way you like. So what about 11? What about 11? 11 is 10 and 1. That is 10, 1. And what about 22? 22 is 20 and 2. That is 20 and 2. 22. So 33 is 30 and 3. That is 33. Sorry. 33. A bit ugly. And 55 is 50 and 5. That is 55. And what about 79? 79 is 70 and 9. That is 79. And the last one, 99. 99 is 90 and 9. That is 99. So now we can find out some rules that firstly we need to see 0 in numbers below 100 as 10, like this, 10. And then 11 is 10 and 1, that is 11. And then 22 is 20 and 2, 20 and 22. Rest, I believe you can figure them out. Just need to follow the same principle. Sorry, 了 表示变化。The word 了 indicates a change function. It is used to indicate a change or the occurrence of a new situation, structure. 了 is usually placed at the end of a Chinese sentence. For example, 你的女儿几岁了? Your daughter is how old? So in this example, the speaker is asking about your daughter's age, not in any other year, but this year. And the age has changed from last moment the speaker asked about your daughter's age. And let's look at the second example. It's even more obvious with the reminding of the time cue, 今年. So, 她今年4岁了. She this year is 4 years old. Right here, the speaker is pointing to the age of a person in this year. However, 了 is more like a habitual expression in Chinese. It has little meaning in most cases, so you can also omit 了 in most Chinese sentences. Just like 你女儿几岁了 is completely 100% equivalent to 你女儿几岁. Next part. 加大 表示疑问。The interrogative phrase 多大 Here, 多 means many or much in English, and 大 refers to old or big in English, and 多 plus 大 that's an interrogative phrase corresponds to how old or how big in English. For example, 这个苹果多大 This apple is how big? So in the first example, 多大 is used to ask about the size of the apple. Second, 你多大了 You are how old? So in the second example, how old, 多大 is used to ask about a person's age. Next part. Okay, so we just finished second part Chinese grammar. Now we will talk about some special rules of pinyin. The first one, 儿化音. If you want to pronounce this Chinese character correctly, you have to roll up your tongue like this. And usually you will see its abbreviation. You will only see this letter R without letter E. And the written form of it, a Chinese nominal group or a Chinese verb plus and pinyin, syllables plus For example, 小鸟儿 Here, 小鸟儿 you can see only the abbreviation of and then 小孩儿 Okay, so that's 儿化音 Next one, dividing mark Function Dividing mark is to divide the finals which start with a or from the former syllable in pinyin. Or in other words, when we see this dividing mark, we can look at it as a sword. And for example, the first one, 飘傲飘 This one means to float in English. And what about this one? Like I said, when we see the dividing mark, we look at it as a sword. And we read two parts separately. The first part, 破一皮 The second part, 傲 So 皮袄 refers to fur-lined jacket in English. Next one, 接 that is to receive in English. And the second one, when we see the dividing mark, we look at it as a sword and divide this syllable into two parts. The first part is 记 The second part, 饥饿 that means hungry in English. So that's all for the third part, special rules of pinyin. Next, we will talk about keywords. We have got 11 new words to study today. But to make it easier, I just made 3 sentences for you. So you just need to memorize the 3 sentences. Now you could read it with me. 1. 你的家有几口人? Your family has how many people? 2. 你的女儿今年几岁了? Your daughter this year is how old? 3. 你多大了? You are how old? And like the first part, situational communication, this part is also very important. So remember to memorize it. So that's all for today's lesson. Thank you for watching. And I want to tell you something that I might disappear for a period of time because I have to prepare for my next exam. But I'll be back on June 18th. So see you at that time. I'll miss you. Last, if you like our video, please like our video and subscribe to our channel. This is Kate from 中文10分钟。谢谢，下次再见，拜拜。